It was a building hundreds of thousands, if not millions, had passed and not given mind or paid any attention. 4 pillared squares stacked about 10 feet distance apart with a rectangular block connecting them atop and a single main entrance near the south end of the structure. Painted a simple, bland, soft matte gray. Surrounding it was a 20-foot razor wire fence with a single access on the west end of the parking lot. At times, vehicles could be seen coming in or leaving through a recessed garage, appearing buried, also located in the west section, and were marked with a trillium flower, which was barely noticeable, being that the vans were white. A slim layer of asphalt acted as a single-lane road and was interrupted just over halfway by a 3-story pole displaying our country's flag in pride, consistently waving and never altered. When other buildings would set to half-mast to show camaraderie or as a salute to a lost person of notoriety, it would remain high in position. All windows were tinted, and it oddly had many, each a dark sea black, reflecting any bid an object would make to penetrate its surface. The front lawn was immense, with over 100 feet from fence to complex on all 4 sides, and was maintained to a golf course's precision without a single burn mark in it. This was also strange, considering any grass outside this compound had long been scorched, played on, or eaten away. A few very large oak and maple trees were strategically scattered in a feeble attempt to conceal its existence, yet you'd never see any birds, squirrels, or find any sign of life on the property. There were no pathways for walking, no picnic tables for lounging, and if not for the minor amount of traffic, you may have easily concluded there was nobody inside. Located in the east end of our metropolis, it blended well with the hybrid of residential, commercial, and industrial architecture. An ineffective and unhealthy neighborhood formed to compensate and create affordable living generated an awkward consortium of zoning, and it's because of this, many believe today, this place went unnoticed or questioned for so many years. With no sign indicating what they did or who owned the property, the flower on the vans offered the only clue and hinted that they may be affiliated with our legislator. A conclusion formed by and generating more curiosity could easily be dismissed as another government address keeping a low profile to avoid or escape the constant harassment of angry taxpayers. None of us knew what was going on inside those walls, very few asked, and because of this facility, we are now faced with an irreversible inevitability that the human race will be infected with until the conclusion of time. What was once done as a successful attempt to silence the words of others is unimaginable, but it has since surfaced, and a part of me feels comfort in knowing this story has been shared in independent papers and released to the public, so I am safer telling the details of what I've heard and seen myself. I must admit, in younger days it felt impossible to tell my story of what was learned and what I now know, believing everyone before me had disappeared. We can't say with certainty that any are dead, but they are all gone. No bodies were ever found or their voices heard again. I spent years looking over my shoulder, remaining silent, not being able to eat or sleep as the information I held ate away at me from the inside out. My marriage disintegrated as my relationship with alcohol rapidly strengthened. Jack Daniels seemed to be the only companion able to provide respite and alleviate the painful feelings of betrayal, guilt, fear, and depression from holding these secrets inside. Over time, this friend eventually caused jaundice, permanently altering my pigment. It was complemented by a stale odor from a hyperperfusion, creating an uncontrollable perspiration emanating from every pore in my body. As my wife watched her beloved husband destroy himself with substance, she was taunted by doubt, knowing I was hiding something. Similar to believing a person suffering from an insect's bite compulsively responds by scratching. My children, old enough by now, and she instinctively knew something deeper than drinking was wrong. My suppressed anguish was broadcast in my body and face with each falsity and read like a book. A part of me can appreciate their hurt, as it was created by an unresolved concern and complete misunderstanding as to why the man they love had become so quiet, distant and afraid. The deception grew like fungus to a rock, but seemed easier than the alternative at the time. Eventually, for their own sanity and safety, she took the kids to her parents, leaving me on my own and adding a feeling of abandonment to an already blistering array of uncomfortable, intolerable confirmations of complete alienation. It was exhausting, contemplating if surviving was even worth it, wanting to end it, the hurt in knowing what I do, and the fear of the consequences for sharing it with others. A part of me wishes we'd never seen any of it. The only bittersweet positive to come of this were the numerous anonymous leaks that eventually created attention and put our citizens' focus towards this grey building that has since shut down, probably relocating to a new foundation where it can sit in the ether of the public. However, before everything could be moved, frustrated and inquisitive people of the neighborhood made their way onto the property and inside to investigate for themselves. It's only due to this that a few are aware, and all of which wish they never knew. I'm hesitant to share it with you today for fear of what it may do to you tomorrow, because with this knowledge comes the loss of all hope and innocence for mankind. We will go inside together, search and explore each room by sharing the stories of others first, and then I will tell my own tale. But before we begin, there's something I must say. People do not like the things they do for the reasons others do not. Please pause for a moment and really think about this statement. I only say this because it's easy to look at something we consider wrong, bad, or outright evil, and think that people who are doing these things must also be those words, when in actuality, quite often, our road to hell is paved with good intentions. To truly understand how evil exists, we must first accept that we're all capable of it, and that any one of us could have or may have made a decision that helps keep this grey building alive today.